Hey, so you've landed here because you're looking to either build a pool or a spa. We've been building pools and spas out here in the West Valley and in the Phoenix area for the last 20 years. We want you to get as much information as possible to make an educated decision on what might be best for you and your family. And it may not be good for everybody, but we want you to be able to make an educated decision on what to move forward with on your project. So pools and spas are expensive. There is a range that you can work within. So an average of a pool and spa combo is going to be between 65 and 75,000. That's going to be on your low end. On the higher end, you could spend upwards of $1 million depending on what you're looking to do and what you're looking to create. If you're looking to create that wow factor or hey, look at what I got kind of deal, I mean, the sky's the limit on that. So some of the things that could really impact the price of your project would be, things like setbacks, hard digs, access, whether that be, having other things in the yard that you're trying to work around or small access points as far as your gates, that kind of thing. The other thing that can really drive up your cost is the municipality, depending on what you're building. Another thing that will actually increase costs is design options, finishes, your tile, your interior finish, your decking materials, whether you want LED lights or you want, regular standard halogen lights. So there's a ton of different things that you can add onto the pool that can increase the cost, but there's also things that most people don't think about, like a hard dig that could be a possibility when you're building your project. So those are some of the things that you need to think about when you're talking about doing a project and that you should probably talk about with your spouse or your family and kind of come up with a wish list and then have kind of a needs and want list. If pricing is not an issue, then you can kind of have that wants list. But if pricing is an issue, you can kind of have those needs and then those wants depending on what all the pricing comes out to be. So with us, when you're looking at your pool and landscape, your pool and spa combos, we have a good, better, best option. So your good is going to be basically, we don't do a bad option where you have just a basic deck or a basic filtration system, things like that. We kind of give you that upgrade. So we try to go with a better pump to start with where you got Wi-Fi control, that kind of thing. Those pools are going to be in your $40,000 to $50,000 range. Our better option is going to be a pool spa combo where you're going to have a little bit higher end finishes. You're going to have some natural stone. You're going to have some water that cascades out of that spa into the pool. Those are going to be your $60,000 to $110,000 range. And then your best option is going to basically be completely custom. Sky's the limit. You could, be from the $110,000 to $500,000 range on your pool and spa combo. It just depends on what all you want. Some of the things that could be added to any of those packages would be filtration. We could add a UV light. We could add LED color changing lights to any of those options. Ozone. We could do a salt system. So it all depends on what you're looking for and what your family is going to get the most value out of. So the process of building your pool or spa sometimes can be a timely process. You're going to start with the design, and that could be as elaborate as you want or as simple as you want. That's going to also feed into your permitting and engineering process. Most pool builds, I would say, from start of design to the day you put a hole in the ground is probably about 30 days that takes for you to kind of finalize your design, your pricing, your options. Then depending on your municipality submitting that, some municipalities could take a month or two to give you a permit. Most of them are pretty quick, 3 to 6 weeks are usually standard. Once that hole is dug, everything is pretty fast. As long as you have your trades kind of lined up and the weather is good. Most pools from dig, are 6 to 8 weeks. They could be sped up, but you also want to make sure that you have that 28-day or 27-day curing, time for your shell. But during that time, once your shell and your gunite go in, you could be working on tile finishes, things like that, other landscaping around the pool. So depending on how elaborate your pool is, you could have a pool within 2 months all the way up to a year, just depending on how elaborate your pool and landscape are. So full disclaimer, most people don't realize how messy construction is. They think that they're going to go to work one day and come home the next day and the backyard's going to have a nice pool with some artificial turf in the backyard. That couldn't be farther from the truth. your yard is literally going to look like Hiroshima got dropped on that backyard. So we're going to make a mess. We're not going to sugarcoat that. It's got to be completely destructed before it can be reconstructed and make it look nice. Now, keep in mind, we're going to try to keep things as clean as possible. That being said, if it rains, we're going to get some mud. You're going to have dust. You're cutting stone materials. We're building things out of, square pegs that are going in a round hole or square, holes that are going on a round peg. It's going to be one of those things where we're building everything custom. So things are going to be a mess. It's going to be a little chaotic. We're dealing with natural materials. We're dealing with multiple different materials. So there's going to be delays sometimes getting materials. There's going to be delays with deliveries depending on weather. We're also dealing with humans. We're not building these things with robots. So you have to kind of have that mindset that, hey, if we tell you 30 days, probably figure 45 just to be safe. Not that we tell you something maliciously, but realistic expectations are that things are not always going to run as smoothly as you would like or I would like them to run. So we want to be upfront with you. So when you're getting your pool and spa built, some of the things that you're going to have to be selecting are your decking, your coping. Most of the pools and spas that we build are going to have some type of a natural stone for either the decking or the coping. You're going to need to pick your interior finishes, your tile, stonework. You're going to have to decide what type of equipment you want, whether you want, 2 pumps, 3 pumps, 1 pump, a UV light, salt system. We go over all those options with you and kind of go over that with you up front so that way you can make the best decisions for you and your family. But there are going to be some decisions. The cool thing we do have is we have our design center. So you can come down, see a lot of that stuff in person. If it's something that we don't have, we can bring it in so you can see it. Just makes the process as a whole a lot easier for you and your family. So the average time from the time we get a permit and schedule your dig to completion on a standard pool or a standard pool spa combo is between 6 and 8 weeks. Now again, that's weather permitting. That timeline could be extended depending on how elaborate your design is, if there's special engineering, if there's permitting issues. There may be things that we didn't see or whatever if we call blue stake and there's a line that needs to be moved, things like that. So there are things that are going to increase that time. Plus your decision on choices is going to have a big hindrance on that, because if you choose a tile that may not be available now and we have to pick a different tile or whatever the case may be on that, but most of your standard pool builds are going to be 6 to 8 weeks. Again, on a custom design, it's going to prolong that process. So your warranties, we use all Pentair equipment. So your warranty on your equipment is going to be 3 years. We give you a lifetime structural warranty on the shell. Your finish with us, if we go with a PebbleTech finish, is going to be 5 years. On any of your other standard finishes, it's usually 3 years. Tile, that kind of thing, your stonework, all that's going to be a 2-year warranty. And most of those warranties are dictated from the ROC, which is the registrar or contractor. So if you have another contractor that says, hey, we're going to give you a 6-month warranty or a tail light warranty, basically when you see us pull out, that's when your warranty ends. Make sure you ask them. And that's another thing that you're going to want to do is make sure that everybody that you're getting quotes from is licensed, bonded, and insured, and check their licenses. A lot of these guys are either using somebody else's license or they're using a license that's expired or whatever the case may be. Do your due diligence. Just make sure you're protecting yourself. It's a big investment for you and your family. That's the worst thing to see is on the news, hey, we paid this guy $30,000 and now all we have is a dirt hole in the ground. So we definitely don't want to see that happen to you. Do your due diligence and just make sure that the pricing that you get is from a reputable company. So a lot of things that people don't think about when they're excited about building this pool and landscape project is that there is maintenance involved. A lot of people say, hey, I'll do the maintenance myself. They try to do it themselves and they figure out that there's a lot more involved with water chemistry and things like that. Water chemistry isn't just about making sure that your pool is crystal clear. There's a lot of hidden things where if you have a water in your pool that's too soft and it damages your finish. One of the things that we do include is we include that first month of maintenance with you for your new pool build. So what that does is it kind of familiarizes you with the process. You can work with our guy to kind of learn what things are. And then if you decide that you want to continue that service, that's something that he offers for our clients at a discounted rate. but we do cover that initial startup and that initial month of service in your pool contract. So that's one of the peace of mind that we try to give to our customers, is the fact that they don't have to worry about that, at least for the first month. But then they can kind of see, okay, hey, maybe I want to do this or maybe I don't. It's a little easier just to pay this guy X amount of dollars a month. So we give you that option as well. So pool or spa financing, most of the customers that we have choose to finance their project. And it's not, again, because they don't have the money, but it just spreads that money out farther. But it also gives them the peace of mind where they can kind of keep that money in the savings or whatever the case may be. You know, $800 a month payment's a lot better than putting out $60,000, $70,000 up at one lump sum. So the financing just gives you that flexibility. And then if you decide, hey, I want to pay it off, you can pay it off in 6-8 months, whatever the case may be. But most of the clients that we work with choose to go the financing route just because it makes it a little easier and it's not as much of a financial burden on them up front, and it kind of extends that process out for them. So you've went through all this, you've looked at all the different options, you've seen what might be best for you or your family, you kind of have an idea of what you guys are looking for. Now is the time where you can click the link and see our investment tool, kind of price out what your ideas, kind of bring those to life as far as giving you some rough pricing. You've already looked at some different financing options. You looked at the fact that maybe you want a salt pool rather than a standard chlorine pool. Now is the time where we can send out a design consultant that knows the ins and outs of what your pool might need, sits down and listens to what your guys' needs are, sees what your family's needs are. Then we can put together a final number for you and then get you that financing information. If that's something that you want to continue with, click the link below and see what your investment would be.